Breaking news overnight from the men's college basketball world, and that is that Kentucky coach John Calipari is no longer Kentucky coach John Calipari. He is finalizing a 5-year deal to become the coach at Arkansas. He leaves Kentucky with 4 Final Fours and 1 national championship in 15 years. So he jumps from one super high profile, I guess the highest profile basketball program in America in the SEC, to another in the same conference with a good, proud tradition. And obviously they won a championship there in the 90s. And historically, they've had a lot of really good teams at Arkansas, but it doesn't have anywhere near the history that Kentucky does. And so when things happen in the SEC, I always get like a little hankering to hear from Paul Finebaum. So I said, let's call up Paul and see what he thinks of this. He is the mouth of the South. So Coach Cal jumping from Kentucky to Arkansas 2 weeks after the AD at Kentucky tweeted, yes, I sat down with Coach and he's coming back and we're going to go forward. What do you make of this, Paul Finebaum?
Greeny, amazingly, I think both fan bases are happy this morning. You say, well, how could that be? Cal is a legend. Well, he's a legend who had really played out at the University of Kentucky. Fans were tired of him. When he got knocked out by Oakland a couple of weeks ago, that was the second time in 3 seasons he lost in the first round. That is unforgivable. And I think he came, Greeny, within a whisker of getting fired. The only reason he stayed there, a $33 million buyout. Meanwhile, Arkansas has been a great program. We know about Nolan Richardson in that epic era, but Eric Musselman had taken them to two Elite Eights and 316s. And when he left the other day, people were going, where can this program go? They got John Calipari, who on one hand may be diminished, but when you give him a chance to restart, he might be a welcome to that fan base. But the University of Kentucky this morning has an opportunity now to upgrade the program after Calipari.
And what does that mean? Who should we be expecting to start hearing about at Kentucky in the next day or two?
Well, I think the names you'll hear are Dan Hurley. Obviously, he's the best coach in college basketball, but I don't think he's a legitimate candidate. But the one you have to keep your eye on, we just saw SEC to SEC. Keep your eye on Nate Oates. He just took Alabama, yes, Alabama, to the Final Four for the first time in history. The only issue, he just got a new contract from Greg Byrne, the athletic director, and Greg Byrne put a $20 million buyout. Now, you say that is enormous. How could you possibly pay 20? Think about it, Greeny. I realize I'm not Jim Cramer here this morning on Wall Street today, but Kentucky just saved $33 million by not firing Cal. So they have a surplus of plus 13 if you're doing the math here before the Dow opens. I think they could say, why not go after the best coach in the SEC right now, who is Nate Oates.
Paul, are you going to tell me that Alabama's going to lose Nick Saban and Nate Oates in the same month or relatively close to that period of time? Could that happen?
Well, I mean, it's possible. Nate Oates loves Alabama, but I think Alabama's run was phenomenal, Greeny. But listen, Alabama is not Kentucky. Kentucky is the gold standard. Alabama football and Kentucky basketball are essentially the same thing. So Nate Oates does not need a refresher course in the event he takes the job.
I'm with you. And by the way, Pete Thamel mentioned the name Billy Donovan, who, of course, was the last basketball coach to win back-to-back national championships on that level at Florida, been in the NBA now for the past, whatever it's been, decade. And so that's another name to keep an eye on. Paul, we'll check in with you again soon. Thanks for getting in here. We'll hear you on the radio and much more later. To Iowa in the Final Four a year ago, South Carolina got the win and got revenge. They become the first team since UConn in 2016 to win the championship with a perfect season. It was the ending to Caitlin Clark's incredible college career, which included getting Iowa getting to the Final Four twice. Their only other appearance came in 1993, and certainly even in defeat, all the big names were commenting on social media yesterday about Caitlin Clark. Sue Bird tweeting, what a season for Iowa women's basketball. What a career for Caitlin Clark. We undoubtedly watched one of the all-time best college careers, ring or not. Thank you for helping elevate our sport with your play, your poise, And of course, your logo threes. I can't wait to watch you at the next level. Breanna Stewart, herself another of the GOATs, tweeted, incredible career by Caitlin Clark, literally uncharted territory. Excited to see her continue in the W. Dwayne Wade tweeted, Caitlin Clark, thank you for raising all of our awareness even more this season. Us fans can't wait to follow your pro career. And even Dawn Staley, the championship coach, in her moment of triumph, took moment to recognize Caitlin.
I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport. She carried a heavy load for our sport, and it just is not going to stop here on the collegiate tour. But when she is the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, she's gonna lift that league up as well. So Caitlin Clark, if you're out there, you are one of the GOATs of our games, and we appreciate you.
Again, that's a pretty rare moment, and Chene and Drea back with us, and you guys referenced that a little bit earlier. I mean, that is special, and Chene, I guess it just goes to show you the degree of respect that Caitlin Clark earned this year. Something, I won't say unprecedented, but certainly not frequently precedented.
Look, Greeny, I'm getting goosebumps. Drea and I here just hearing that. And what comes to my mind is game recognized game, period. What Caitlin Clark has done has been transcendent, has been impactful, has been one of a kind. Y'all, 45 records, whether it is D1, NCAA tournament, Big Ten, she broke. Also, I mean, she is the result of the revolution that Steph Curry kind of brought to the game recently. Shooting threes. I mean, if you look at her shot chart, it is a coach's dream. Layups and threes, and she does it to perfection. And to talk about uplifting the game at the next level, I played against Maya, I played against Diana, I played against Candace. The list goes on and on. One thing that translates is shooting. And she is going to get open shots at the next level, and I think that she'll continue to sell out. I mean, the world is her oyster, and I'm just in awe of how she carried the weight of the world and continued to deliver.
You know, I think it was really special, Greeny. We were talking to Lindsay Gottlieb, who coaches Juju Watkins over at USC, and one thing that she said, she was like, it's South Carolina's season, but it's Caitlin Clark's world. And Caitlin Clark's impact on the game has just taken over the country, probably taken over the world in some places. The way that she rises to every occasion, whether it's breaking a record, she doesn't break it, she obliterates it. The way she ignites confidence in her teammates, her leadership, the grace that she shows, the energy that she plays with, the competitive spirit, and to be honest, the financial impact of Caitlin Clark's presence on the floor alone, whether it's in an away arena, whether it's at a Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, and even in the league already. Indiana Fever, they have the #1 pick in the draft. Their ticket prices have already gone up just in the anticipation of having Caitlin Clark on the floor. So the impact, Dawn Staley said it, she carried a heavy load, and she carried it so well. She carried it so far. So we thank Caitlin also.
And she's just getting started.
Right. Like, this is the beginning. This is literally the beginning.
Yeah, the impact that she had on the floor and off, extraordinary. And look, I heard so much of the GOAT conversation over this weekend, and that's going to lead to arguments, and I think all that is fabulous. That's what sports conversation and debate are about. And I'm not the right person to tell you, is she a greater player than Diana Taurasi or Breanna Stewart, Cheryl Miller, Candace Parker, or any of the other greats who came before her. But I am here to tell you that I believe she has had an impact on her sport this year that reminds me, the comparison I would make would be to a young Tiger Woods. I feel like when Tiger Woods came along, I'm someone who loves golf. And I loved golf before it was fashionable for everyone to love golf. And then Tiger Woods came along, and suddenly everybody loved golf. He brought people to the tent who had not previously been interested in peeking inside. And I think that is the comparison, Chene, for what Caitlin Clark did this year. She brought people to the sport who hadn't been paying attention before. And to do that in a team sport rather than an individual sport like golf is especially remarkable.
Yeah, and one thing that Drea has always said is there's no Caitlin Clark without Angel Reese. There's no Angel Reese without Caitlin Clark. One thing that I love, and we're going to make comparisons, is Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Iron sharpens iron. And to be able to see these big moments, at times controversies, at times contradicting personalities, that's what also uplifted the game. And it's just birthing more stars. When people ask me, what is the state of women's basketball based off of the success of Caitlin Clark, it's that she has been a multiplier in the sense that where she stands, she continues to raise the bar, and so do other players. Yeah. Now we're talking about the WNBA draft that is loaded, y'all. Yeah. And then on top of it, the game is in such a healthy place. Super seniors going to the WNBA, also a stellar freshman class. I mean, a freshman helped you win a natty this year. And that same, team had a freshman that was most outstanding player at the SEC tournament. And then when we talk about Caitlin Clark, at number 2 in scoring was a freshman in Juju Watkins. Yeah. So, I mean, I just love how the women's basketball continues to level up.
Yeah, and I think it's really special, too. Caitlin post-game, she talked about handling all the pressure and handling these moments, and she said she doesn't really feel pressure because she trusts the work that she puts in. Like, one thing that I think people forgot is pressure went up this season for Caitlin, and her numbers got better, Greeny. Like, she lost key pieces to her team, all eyeballs were on her, all defensive were to stop her, and she got better with all the distractions this season. Her numbers improved. The work ethic that people will learn from Caitlin Clark, how to handle pressure, is by trusting the work that you put in. So she is an incredible example for so many people. Put in the work, love what you do, love who you do it with, and success will come. Like, for her to shine this way, someone had the nerve to ask me if Caitlin Clark was getting too much attention. I said, absolutely not. She deserves all of this. She's such a hard worker. She's so passionate. She's competitive.